Hello, everybody. It's me, Vanya Fatidis, the founder of Peaceful Eating, where I help people come to a place of peace and ease with their bodies and food. I hope everyone's taking care and keeping well in these quite uncertain and quite challenging times that we find ourselves in. So this is my weekly Q&A in which I usually answer all your burning questions about food, eating, and body image. And probably unsurprisingly, I didn't get any questions this week. So, with the coronavirus that's going around and countries being in quite a state of uncertainty and lockdown in some places, priorities have changed and circumstances have shifted and everything's very fluid. So it didn't surprise me at all that I didn't get a direct question for this Q&A. So yeah, there is a lot of anxiety out there, and really it is completely understandable that this is how people are feeling. And I thought that I would use this time, just a few minutes, to just speak to the situation that we all find ourselves in. Really, we are in this together, aren't we? In my lifetime, I haven't been in a situation where everyone on the planet, pretty much. There are probably very few people on the planet that are not aware of what's going on and needing to make some kind of changes to how they're behaving. So I hope that it gives us a whole lot of opportunities as well about how we could be together in this world and work together on this planet. But I just wanted to speak for a few minutes about things that might be coming up for you at this time, and I hope something will be of service to you in some way. So the first thing I want to say is that even though it might not seem like it, there is always uncertainty. It's just that 99% of the time we're living in an illusion of certainty. And with this COVID-19 pandemic, that illusion of certainty has been shattered. And when we don't have a when we have such high levels of uncertainty, it's very triggering, and it does put us in a fight or flight survival response. And it's really not easy. So the first thing that I would say is that I think we could all do with giving ourselves and giving other people compassion. I've seen lots of compassion out there, people helping neighbors, people helping with other people's children. Lots of ways that communities are coming together, but there's also been quite a lot of the other side of thing where people are trying to, in their survival response, grab and take as much as they possibly can because they are frightened. And what I would ask of those of us who can manage it, and I know not everybody can, and there's no judgment in that at all, but that we try to open our hearts to people who are perhaps behaving in ways that we would rather they weren't, perhaps behaving in ways that are selfish. They've been triggered and are in a survival response, as many of us are, in and out of it. And I think if we're adding our judgment and anger and frustration onto it, probably just doesn't help the situation. So I had my car, or our car, vandalized this week. I don't know who, kids. I don't know if it was kids. Really, it's not very fair to say it was kids, but I don't know. Can only imagine that it would be frustrated, bored people went down our road and catapulted rocks through several cars' windows. And at first I was really upset and angry, which is perfectly legitimate. But yeah, I've got a choice. I either hold on to it and feel my anger and frustration and annoyance, or I can choose to let it go and just accept that this is what's happened. I don't like it. I didn't choose it this way. But it is the way that it is. And I can either fight with reality or accept reality. And it's a whole lot easier if we can accept reality and just do what we can. So, yeah, let me talk about a couple of things that might be coming up for you around your relationship with food in this time of uncertainty. So often when things feel really out of control, that kind of eating disordered or disordered eating voice wants some kind of agency, some kind of control. And so you might be finding that it's shouting really loudly at you to go on a diet, to restrict certain foods. It might be saying to you, you're at home all this time, you shouldn't be eating all the whatever foods that you've feared in the past. And perhaps you've even come to a place of making relative peace with these foods. But now this kind of heightened level of anxiety and this sense of not being in control has you want to be taking some actions that feel like they address your anxiety in some way. They bring down your level of anxiety. But that is only a very short-term drop in your anxiety level, because if you do start to control your food and restrict, your level of anxiety will actually go up. Maybe not immediately, but it will go up. And in fact, the more we try to control things, the more out of control it becomes. Except when it comes to COVID-19. We've got to try and control this thing by doing our bit with our physical distancing, I prefer to say, rather than social distancing. Let's be socially connected and physically distanced. But in terms of food, the more we try to control, the more out of control it all becomes. And I'm sure you've had experience of this. So try to listen out for that voice that's telling you to control, and see if you can come back with a compassionate response. Perhaps you could say to yourself, I know that when I'm feeding myself adequately and I'm not restricting, I'm much calmer, I'm much more balanced. Things are so much more even. Perhaps make a list for yourself of all the ways that eating in a consistent and regular way and letting yourself eat the things you really want to eat has actually helped you so far on your journey. And the other thing is really to think about what is within your locus of control. You know, with all the things that are going on around us and reading the stories that we're reading in the news and seeing the impacts that this is having on people, on their livelihoods, on in various ways, you know, hearing stories about people who are very vulnerable, then being isolated, and how this can exacerbate all sorts of mental health issues or family dynamics that are dysfunctional. And it's very upsetting. And so it can just enhance this fear and panic and this need for control in us. So what I invite you to do is try to roll back and just come back into yourself and ask yourself, who is within my environment that I can directly have a positive impact on? And if that is simply your pet or somebody in your family, somebody you're living with, excuse me, perfect. Do that. We need to really be focusing on what we can personally do. There might be initiatives going on in your neighborhood and you might have some resource, time, energy, money. Do that. But first port of call is take care of yourself, take care of your own space. If there are things that you know have helped you in the past, engage in those things. I know it's difficult when you are quite triggered and you feel like you are like a deer caught in the headlights, that you don't really know what to do next. Come join my Facebook group. It's not about the weight. Come share there, come talk about what's going on for you, and let us support you with some ideas. There's some people in there that are just amazing with their generosity and creativity of how to support people. Um, I'm just checking to see if there were any questions, but there are no questions. The other thing that might be bothering you is, or making you feel afraid, is potential food scarcity. So again, there's just a lot on social media, with empty supermarket shelves and crowds of people and all these kind of stories. And so I get it, you know, that is, it is scary, particularly if you have a history in your own life of having experienced food scarcity. Perhaps growing up, you might have been in, a poverty situation and not had enough food to eat, or perhaps there was enough food, but you were severely restricted by people in your life when you were a child. Whatever it is, food scarcity from chronic dieting, food scarcity through poverty, food scarcity through any other situation, um, it's food scarcity. So of course you will be triggered. And it's not easy, and there are no easy answers, I'm afraid. I wish I could give you a one word or one sentence response to that would be um, a solution. But we are where we find ourselves, and you might not get what you need or want. And the only thing that I can really recommend to you is, if there are people in your life that you can ask, perhaps do swaps. I've got this, I'd really like that. Should we swap if you find yourself in that situation? But do what you can to help yourself be grounded. If there are breathing exercises that you know that help you ground. I was teaching my online course group yesterday. We had a coaching call, and I was teaching them a breathing technique to help you switch into a more parasympathetic or rest or relaxation response out of a survival response. And I'll just tell you what it is. It's really very simple. You breathe in through your nose, you hold your breath for a couple of counts, and then you breathe out through your mouth like you're blowing out a candle, like this. And then you hold at the end of the out breath if you want to. So the thing is, the out breath is longer than the in breath. So you might breathe in for 4, hold for 2, breathe out through the mouth like you're blowing out a candle for 6, and then you hold for 2. And then you just repeat it. Do it 5, 6, 7 times. You could even do it for a minute or 2. It is incredibly helpful to ground you. So you could try something like that, but different people like different things. Perhaps what you could do is write a little list of 3 or 4 things that you know help you to ground, so that when you're feeling in the grips of the anxiety or you're feeling triggered, you could look at that list and do one of those things. It's sometimes hard to remember what to do when you're in that triggered state. So having a little list of things that you could do and putting it somewhere is a resource that you can draw on. Oh, and there's lots of stuff around social media at the moment about fearing putting on weight, getting fat if you are staying at home and not going to the gym and not doing all the usual things that you might be doing, or just kind of the normal hustle and bustle of life, right? The normal kind of activity. And again, I get it, and it is hard. But what I would recommend you do is label that for what it is. Okay, it is fat phobia, And fat phobia keeps us all imprisoned in diet mentality, keeps us all locked in a fear mindset about how we nourish ourselves, how we take care of ourselves. These are unprecedented times, and you know, we can only do the best that we can with what we have in the moment. So if you do find yourself seeing those things on social media, if you are finding those thoughts are being triggered for you, label them for what they are. If you can remove yourself from those conversations, if you can delete or unfollow those people who are um, talking in that way, you know, if they're particular people and it's a repeat thing, you could actually ask people, you know, that it's difficult enough as it is. Could you just hold on that, please? You know, and then put your focus where you want to put your focus. Bring it back into your own body. Notice how you're feeling. What's going on for you? What really, really matters to you right now? Is it taking care of your loved ones? Is it taking care of yourself? Is it staying calm? Is it doing something creative? Think about what really matters to you and take one small doable action in that direction so that you can keep yourself moving forward in a direction you want to be moving forward in. So I hope that that is helpful, and that's all from me. If you would like to learn more about how to make peace with your body and food, there is a link there for you to download my free ebook, A Guide to Peaceful Eating. You're very, very welcome to join my Facebook group. It's not about the weight. And I look forward to being in contact with you and hearing from you. Do ask questions for next week's Q&A. There is a new page on my website. If you go to peacefuleating.co.uk, there's a Q&A page where you can submit your questions anonymously. So goodbye for now. Thank you for being here, and take care of yourself.